This is the story of Scrapefoot, which is basically an earlier version, a way earlier version of the story that we would know as Goldilocks and the Three Bears. So you have the big bear, the medium bear, the little bear, and Scrapefoot, who was a fox. So all three bears live in this massive, beautiful castle in this massive, beautiful forest, and they're very powerful and they're very happy. But one day they decide that their life there is not enough. They want to go out and see the world. So all three bears pack up their suitcases and they set off to go explore the world. And Scrapefoot is usually terrified of these bears. She doesn't go anywhere near them or their castle, but now that they're gone, she decides to take this as her opportunity to explore and to check out what's going on in their castle. And so she walks through the door and she comes into this big throne room. There's a big chair, a little chair, and a medium chair. And so she first climbs into the big chair. And it is hard and it is uncomfortable, and so she hates it and she gets off. Then she climbs into the medium chair, and it is too soft. It is terribly, terribly soft. It's so uncomfortable, and she climbs off of that one too. So then she gets into the little chair. And the little chair is the most comfortable chair that she has ever sat in. And she's sitting there, she's having a good time, and then all of a sudden, boom, the chair breaks. And so Scrapefoot decides to move on as she walks and walks and walks through this castle until she finds the dining room. And in the dining room, there are 3 bowls full of milk. And so she decides that she's going to try each type of milk from each of the bowls. And so she goes to the first bowl, the big bowl, and she takes a sip. Oh, and she decides it's way too sour. It's horrible. She hates it. She pushes that bowl away. So then she goes to the medium bowl and she takes a sip. Oh, and it's too sweet, and she hates that one too, so she pushes that one away. So then she tentatively goes to the little bowl and she takes a sip. It's the best milk that she's ever tasted, and so she gulps down the rest of it. Oh, and after that, she's full of milk, and so she's getting very sleepy. And so Scrapefoot decides to walk through the castle until she can find a bedroom. And she does. And in the bedroom are 3 beds, a big bed, a medium bed, and a little bed. And so the first bed that she tries is the big bed. And she climbs up onto this bed and she gets under the covers. And she can't fall asleep. She's tossing and she's turning, but the bed is just too hard. It is just so uncomfortable. And so she gets out of that bed and she decides to try the next bed, the medium bed. And she climbs up into this bed and she gets under the covers, but it's too soft. She's rolling around and she just can't fall asleep. And so she decides not that bed either. And so the last bed that she tries is the little bed. She climbs into it. She gets under the covers and she immediately falls asleep. It is the most comfortable bed that she's ever sat in. And so while Scrapefoot is asleep in the bed, the 3 bears, the big bear, the medium bear, and the little bear, they come back from their adventure and they decided they don't like the outside world. They think it kind of sucks actually, and they enjoyed living in their castle and their forest so much better. And so the 3 bears arrive back at their castle and they walk through the main doors into the throne room. And what do they see? They see their chairs, one of them broken. So the big bear goes, "Who has been sitting in my chair?" And the medium bear goes, "Who has been sitting in my chair?" And the littlest bear goes, "Who's been sitting in my chair and broke it?" And so then the 3 bears continue on and they get to the dining room and they say, "Who has been drinking out of my bowl of milk? Who's been drinking out of my bowl of milk? Who's been drinking out of my bowl of milk and lost all of it?" And so now the bears are very upset. And so they continue on and they finally get to the bedroom and they see all of their beds. And the big bear goes, "Who has been sleeping in my bed?" And the little bear and the medium bear goes, "Who has been sleeping in my bed?" And the little bear goes, "Who has been sleeping in my bed and is still there?" And so the bears stand there and they are just watching Scrapefoot and they are so angry, they are fuming, okay? And so the big bear says, "I think we should burn her alive." And the medium bear says, I think that we should drown her. And the littlest bear goes, I think we should throw her out the window. And so that's what they decide to do. The bears rip off the covers and they grab Scrapefoot and they, 1, 2, 3, they heave her out the window. She's gone. And the bears go back to their business. They're happy now that they've finally gotten rid of this thing that was bothering them. And so Scrapefoot got thrown out the window, falls down, down, down. She hits the ground and she jumps up, and now she's awake. She was asleep for the whole entire process. And she's tapping up and down her body and she's checking for broken bones because she just fell from the highest floor of a castle. But nothing's broken. She survived it. And so she runs away and decides never to come back to the bear's castle again. The end.